Recording. All right. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the SWBL podcast. My name is Sam Skibbe, Commissioner of the SWBL. And man, this has been Podcast Central leading up to season 18. And we are doing these Zoom podcasts for you so you can see our video faces when you're going through these podcasts and listening on our YouTube channel. You can find our YouTube channel with the / Skibbe Wiffle Ball, and you can make sure you subscribe to our channel so we can continue our rise in the ranks for our subscriptions. And we also, I got to tell you guys, I am a teacher and I Zoom call all day long. That's all I do. So what do I do in my free time? Let's Zoom some more with some wiffle ballers. So let me introduce them for you. We got Brett Spencer. Brett, thank you so much for joining us. He's a fellow front office member and a league founder, and the newest addition to the SWBL Expos roster. Brett, thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Anytime. It's fun.
Oh, always happy to have Brett on board. And Brett, you're actually skipping a concert to be here, which is probably a good thing so you don't get exposed to anybody. But we're glad that you decided to join us tonight instead of go to that concert.
Yeah, I think it was probably a good decision.
And then we also have Mr. Kevin Wiethuchter, another founding member of the SWBL and the captain of the beloved Expos team. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us, and wonderful mustache.
Thanks for having me, Sam.
Yes, and recently, Kevin, as you know, Matt Germer was on the most recent podcast, and it was great to hear from Matt. It's a new voice for the SWBL, and we were glad to have Matt on. Did Matt enjoy himself?
You said my frogs.
I heard him in the background. Kevin, did Matt enjoy himself?
He's got his headset on, so he can't hear what we're doing.
Well, I was mainly asking you if he enjoyed himself.
Because he was talking too loud.
Oh, okay. So as we all, Matt Germer's in the background playing some Call of Duty. So we may hear him jump in a few times here and there, but not about wiffle ball. And then, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to bring back one of the most beloved wiffle ballers of the SWBL history, and that is Andy Oldenburg. Andy, it has been way too long, my friend. 2015 was Andy's last year of play with the SWBL Cardinals, and the SWBL Cardinals went 5-5 that year. He played in 2 games with the SWBL Cardinals. And the year before that was with the Pirates, the SWBL Pirates, going 0-10 in 2014. And then again in 2012, going 0-10 as well as captain of the Pirates. Andy, welcome back to the SWBL fold.
Thank you, Sam. It's pretty crazy that it's been really this long since I've been playing, or even hell at your parents' house. And
yeah,
like you just reeled off. I had to literally go on the website and research of when was the last time I actually played. And like you said, and then, so like 5 years, I guess.
Yep.
And then 6 years since I played a full season. So
yep.
Just absolutely insane.
Only around 10 at-bats that first time that you played, or the first and only time you played with the Cardinals, and the Cardinals ended up disbanding after that. And Brett and I went separate ways, so the Cardinals left as well. Kevin was also on that roster with the SWBL Cardinals too, so we were all on the same team in 2015. So it's been that long since all of us have been together again. So we are so excited to talk to these 3 Expos. And Andy, we are so glad that you are returning to the Blur. And that's my first question to you. The Blur, as you know, is the name of our field, and I know you remember this, but it is so great to talk to, and many of our new young people might not know. You are the person that named our field. You are the person that coined the phrase for my dog that has since passed away, our family dog, and you coined that phrase, and every time we're sitting at the stats table and he'd run out and you would say the Blur. And did you ever think that, all these years later, we would have grown to this point where the Blur is one of the most commonly known wiffle ball fields in the country?
No. Short, simple answer, no. Starting, I remember when we tell a story all the time, but I remember was it junior, senior year college, high school.
Yeah.
I was sitting in math class with you, and that's when you first introduced me to your league, and
Mr. Sucre's class. Mr. Sucre's class. Yes.
Yeah, I was. I think I had an F in that class. Not good. That was a bad class. But that's where I was introduced to your league, and we would be talking about wiffle ball, literally all class, and not paying attention to actual math class at all.
Yeah, whether it was pranking Mr. Suker in some way, or distracting Bryn Edmonston from her work, or it was definitely talking about wiffle most of the time. And, ever since you've been in this league, the league has changed drastically, as you know. And from the beginning of when you started in 2006, and the league really grew and grew, not only just with people, but like the stats that we take as well. And one of the stats that didn't even happen until 2008 was the first ever league shutout. No team had ever been shut out before until 2008. And guess whose team got shut out, Andy?
Well, I'm guessing I was involved in that.
You were the captain of the team with Scott Poley and Rob Walters. You guys were shut out. It was one of Scott's early years. I'm still getting used to the league. And guess who the pitcher was, Andy?
You.
It was Brett Spencer. Brett Spencer.
You, Sam.
No, it was Brett. And
Brett That's a nice little fun fact there. I like
Brett
that.
had the first shutout in SW history, and it was in 2008 against you, Andy. And I don't think we ever thought that was ever going to happen. And to be honest with you, Andy, your stats, your rookie year is just incredible. With leading the league in home runs your rookie year after Brett and Jeff Bertram and Brett leading in home runs every year before that. And you came in as a rookie and hit 52 home runs. We had an algorithm going for MVP, and the algorithm that we had gave the MVP to Brett. When you go back and look at the numbers and the amount of at-bats that you had compared to Brett in the average in home runs and RBIs category, you actually had the better average in all three of those categories. So if we really did our sabermetrics now that we do for that, you probably would have been the first and only person to have a Rookie of the Year and MVP award if we would have went back and done that. Our algorithm when we were younger was very dumb, very naive. But how does that make you feel knowing that now, the 12 years later, that you should be the only person that has a Rookie of the Year and MVP award?
Of course, it has to be Brett who freaking stole that award from me. But I remember that rookie year of just being just absolutely locked in, and especially at the plate. And I remember one of the things that you guys would always be amazed of was like, I was just peppering home run balls to the opposite field. Like everybody would used to be just yank and bang them to left field. And I was just taking any pitch and I could just launch it anywhere. And I remember you guys always being like, oh my God. But yeah, I remember that was a just ridiculous season on my end. And I remember Brett and Bertram, where it was kind of a 3-man race, just all going to town at the plate that summer. And
do you remember who your teammate was that year?
That was Corey, wasn't it?
Corey Griffin. That was also Corey's rookie season. And you guys went 5-5. You guys were in the hunt.
Yeah, I remember we had the hot start too, and we're both. And Corey was kind of streaky, but he actually had sneaky pop, at least back then. And I remember, we were kind of stealing the show of being like a really big power hitting team, but our pitching obviously was not very good. But shit, looking back, 5-5. For me and Corey Griffin, not bad at all.
Not bad. And my next question will be for Kevin. And Kevin, we'll move right along after that first season with Andy. Second season, Andy has such an amazing year. And we always pick new teams based on, different skill levels, things like that. And you, unfortunately, Kevin, had to be the partner with Andy the second year of his sophomore slump. And oh my Lord, it was a completely different person out there. And Kevin, I know you saw it firsthand, and maybe you don't even remember because you tried to forget Andy's awful sophomore slump year. But Kevin, going from, Andy, who took Corey Griffin to a 5-5 team, were you disappointed in your 1-9 finish in Andy's second season and missing the playoffs? How did that make you feel, Kevin, knowing that this guy just let you down?
I mean, memory of that season, I do remember that I played with Andy at one time, and I'm sure we had our back and forth moments, jabbing at each other, but there's not much I remember from that season, honestly.
And there's so many archives for the SWBO that we have, and one that I wish that we kept from the very beginning was we kept the scorebooks, and we kept the game sheets that we used to use. And I have some from from a later on when we were in the 2-man era, but I didn't have those early seasons because they just recycled them after we were done with those stat sheets when you put them in. And I really want to know who you guys beat that year. I really want to know, and I just would have no idea who it would be.
We have no record.
Oh, no record of who it would be. So unfortunately, I do not have that stat for you. And you look now at all these kids nowadays that play this game, and they start with the technology, and they start with the sabermetrics, and they have all these different stat systems available to them. When we started, we had nothing. We made up our own stat sheet on the computer, and we kept it that way by hand with tally marks. So I wish that we would have started knowing what we know now, but obviously hindsight's 20/20. So
yeah, you never really know, because we also didn't really know that we were going to go on for 18 years now.
Oh, never.
Like we probably thought, we'll do this for a summer and that'll be it. But and the next summer we did it again, and it just kind of continued. So
absolutely,
I didn't think we were going to keep the stats for a while, but then we started to do it. I wish we would have kept it though.
Yeah, and one thing, Brett, I know I've told you about too is I wish we would have kept the same stats, even just singles and hits from season 1. We didn't even include singles or hits in our stats because we were like, there's going to be singles all day long. So we didn't even include that. And
because there was no strikes. There's no strike zone. You could just sit up there. Nick Meyer sat up there for 50 plus pitches.
Got to pick your pitch. All right. So, it's kind of, I love talking about the past with you guys, and we're going to talk about the future in a second, but there are a couple more things in the past I want to talk about. And Andy, I'll come back to you because you're coming back to the field. And I know it's really exciting that everybody's going to get to see your face and hear your voice again. You're going to be on some live streams for announcing with Brett coming up this tournament as well. And I want to also talk to you too. You were the captain of the Pirates, and you went 0-20 in 2 years with the Pirates. Never had a win. You were named the only SWO franchise ever that has been named the worst team in America, the Dangerfield champions from National Wiffle. The only team to ever do that from the SWBL. And it was in the first year of the franchise era going that route with you, Rob, and Grant. But you have a lot of names for the Pirates over the season. Names like Birch, Ford, Miller, Marcanic, and so many other great names that we, don't really see anymore out there. But let's pose this question to you. If you had to roll out the Pirates' dream roster to defeat anybody, any past team, who would be the 4 players? So yourself and 3 other players, who would you roll out? Who would be the pitcher? Who would be left field, right field? Give me your lineup. Give me your dream roster for the SWBL Pirates franchise.
Oh, man. 4 players, huh?
Yep.
I would say, obviously, myself. But I would try to be just DH or hit only if that was possible.
Sure. That is possible, yes.
I think it's been pretty known over the years. I've just gotten worse and worse pitching. And not very blessed fielding either, especially these days with the these days with the younger guys. It's just insane. Like I remember first seeing like Chris Metter, what he was able to do defensively in Wiffle Ball Field. Like what the hell? So I would put myself so I can hit. I think Grant for sure. He's just an overall versatile player. Sure. He was kind of streaky at the plate, but he's usually a solid pitcher.
Rookie of the year in his heyday.
Yeah, wow. I forgot about that. Good athlete, good fielder. Oh geez. I would say
you got Marcanic, you got Steve Miller, you got Walters, Wiethuchter, Birch, Ford. Yep. A lot of good names here.
One point, Andy.
Yeah, Wiethuchter was a Pirate.
Kevin, yeah. Oh man, it's I would do Kevin. You can't go wrong with the lefty pitcher in your league. I think
he'd be the ace out of everybody there.
I think so.
For sure.
And then
I think you have to put Rob on there for the comic relief.
Yeah, I guess I'd go with Rob.
He's gonna like hearing that. But give me a fifth. Give me a fifth guy. Give me a fifth guy also, because I want to see who else. Let's get a non-name that people don't know out there.
Man, I really wish Birch would have played more just to see what he could have done, like say in a full season, because he's just so freaking fast. And I mean, even if he like was just chopping the ball in the infield, he would have got on base almost every freaking time. And he's a hell of a fielder too. John and Steve were both average middle of the road players. So I'll go with Roger Birch.
Awesome. Very good. I knew you were going to probably say those names. I knew Wiethuchter, Walters, yourself, and Grant. You get the experience going with them. But, having somebody, a no-name that a lot of these guys may not know, a lot of these young guys listen to this podcast. But Roger Birch did play, and, it would have been awesome to see him extend his career a little bit longer for sure.
Yep.
And Curtis Ford, obviously, was just a blessing to have on the field as well.
Oh, he was a delight.
He was very much a delight. That's a great word for it. He was very infectious out there on the field and such a good sport, even going 0-10. So we miss all those guys, and we miss the Pirates franchise and the Dangerfield champions of 2012. So
that's right.
Lino, Brett, you and I, Andy, we went on a trip. We went on a trip in 2012 to a little town in Ohio. We thought we may get catfished. We thought that this was going to be something. We showed up, and there's a guy hanging out in a parking lot just drinking a beer in a lawn chair saying, "Ha, gotcha." But this guy promised to pay our entire travel, promised to pay for 2 hotel rooms for the 4 of us. We went with PG, and promised an entire national tournament for wiffle ball. And Chris Galloway delivered. It got better and better each year under Chris Galloway, but being an original 8 franchise that attended that tournament, I think is a big honor to bestow on our league and something that we can hang our hats on. So obviously I thank you, Brett and PG, for taking that risk with me. And we all had conversations like, is this legit? But it was, and they did a good job. Now, we came out firing. We did really well. We were one of the better hitting teams there because we had hitting experience. Our very first game, Brett and I hit home runs, and we thought, okay, we're rolling through this. We're going to win. We won our first 2 games, and then we ran into a guy named Ryan Bush. And Andy, you sport a NWLA career ERA of 40.
And this is just remembering things from the past that Andy screwed up. It's awesome. I love this story of Berg against Ryan Bush is the best. Okay.
It is. Every time it comes up on our Facebook feeds, it's like an instant share and an instant memory that we'll never forget. I mean, it was just it was pointless. And we barely got anything off him. I know Brett eventually, a couple years down the line, you hit a home run off him. That was a down the line dinker, barely got out. But it was amazing. But that first year we didn't touch him. And obviously they rolled through us, and it just was not what we expected this fast pitch tournament to be, because we did so well the first 2 games. And but I don't know if you guys remember this, and I've talked to Brett about this too, but Andy, we haven't talked recently about this, but we could have won that tournament. And that's the craziest part about it, because that first year, in our first round, we lost 7-6 to Washburn Wiffle Ball League, and we had bases loaded, 2 outs, and we had a full count in the last batter, which was me, and I struck out instead of walked. If I would have not swung at the ball, I would have walked. We would have tied that game, and we probably would have gotten another run from a walk because Regis had lost it. Now, I will tell you this. We would have won that game. We definitely would have won game 2 because it was a non-Ryan Bush OCWA. And they scored 31 runs to defeat Washburn 31-29. And we were a better hitting team against medium and slow pitching. We would have probably beat them 63-31. So it makes me angry every time I think about it, because we could have been the team that won the winner's bracket. Would we have beaten Tampa Bay and Chris Harley and Michael Harley 2 games in a row? Maybe not, but we could have gotten 2nd place rather than 8th place in that first year tournament. And it was too bad that we couldn't have just squeaked out that run. And I apologize to both of you now that I should have just watched the ball. But, we were getting our first taste.
To be honest, I forgot that it's been so long, I don't even remember that happened. I thought
it's been weighing on me.
I didn't even know we were 8th place. I remember we went, and I remember Andy striking out again and again against Bush and just throwing his bat up in the air. And and yelling curse words, and that's all I remember about the tournament. And then I didn't remember where we ended until you just told me that. But that's an interesting little thing.
It could have been seventh place too. You know, two teams got eliminated at the same time, so we could have been seventh, could have been eighth. But obviously, we had a worse record than the person in front of us from the pool play, so they got the nod for seventh. But at the same time, you know, this tournament has grown and grown. And I know, Brett, you've played in it, and Brett wants to definitely return and see what he can do on the new national scene for that as well. But Andy, is there any way you would ever hang with what they got going on now? I mean, there are guys throwing faster than Bush. They're with more accuracy. I mean, there are amazing hitters around the country. And I don't know if you know any of the big names around there, or if you've kept apprised, or maybe just the people that we've played with. But the game has evolved so much, and it's so crazy to see that there's 10 Ryan Bushes out there now. There's more than you could ever imagine. And it would be great. We've always tried to get you to come back maybe as a coach just to see it again. But what would be your new ERA, you think, if you face the guys nowadays?
Oh, if you trotted me out there now, it would definitely be infinity. I mean, I would not be able to get a single out. And like you said, you know, ever since I've stopped playing, you know, regularly with you guys, I still religiously, you know, keep track of you guys and see how you're doing. And yeah, I'll watch some YouTube videos at the Nationals and stuff, and it's just insane. The athleticism, and people, like you said, people are chucking it, and there's still guys who can turn on it and they're hitting bombs. It's just unbelievable. And then, man, unlike Brett, I have so many freaking memories from that time. Us three and PG went up there, and
slow pitch tournament first. We went to London, did the slow pitch tournament, and did really well. We did pretty well.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. We honestly could have won that thing too.
Yeah,
I think the game we lost was like just a hit fest, and
that team ended up winning the entire thing. Also, the team.
Yeah. So seriously, I think if we don't get paired up against them, or I don't even remember it being like a blowout or anything. I think it was just you know, back and forth hitters fest, because before we lost in that slow pitch, and actually, go figure, but I guess leave it to slow pitch, I was the stud pitcher for that slow pitch. Yeah. I remember like the first couple games, like I was like, I could not be hit. It was just like, what the hell? But yeah, I remember before we eventually lost in that slow pitch tournament, like we were destroying the ball, all four of us. We were really doing well. And heck, that was probably more fun than the fast pitch part, because I remember, you know, just that big open field, so many fields. And of course we were I swear we were the only team that had like a cooler full of beer, just drinking beer and hanging out under the trees while we waited to play our next game. So that was really fun. And then, oh my God, the fast pitch side, I remember, I think it was it the first night or the second night? We were literally up playing wiffle to like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yep.
2 or 3 in the morning.
3, yeah.
I'm like, what the hell are we doing? And then we got back to the hotel room, and I was rooming with Brett. And I remember laying in bed, and then before I went to bed, and then the next morning, my body, specifically my feet, have never hurt more in my life. And I just kept telling Brett, I'm like, I can't play. I can't play. I can't walk. My feet hurt so bad. And of course, Brett is just laughing at me and just telling me to get out there. But I was just like, oh my God, this is just a whole nother beast. But
no.
I'm so happy. I remember we were all kind of hesitant, like you said, but I'm glad you talked us into it, and that'll be a trip and memories.
Oh, for sure. You know, and PG was a rookie that season, and we had to kind of convince him to come, and because we were scraping the barrel. We couldn't find anybody to come with us. The three of us knew we wanted to do it, and then we had to just find somebody, and PG luckily stepped up, and I'm so glad that we made that trip and had that memory, because it really catapulted us into the national scene and what it was all about, and kind of putting the SWBL name out there. And that's always been our goal, is to kind of put wiffle ball out there, not just for us, but for everybody, and show everybody what our wiffle ball is about too. So again, it's been great. And the four of us on this call, you know, have so much connection with the SWBL and the history of just this league and wiffle ball in general. You know, 3 of us on this call are league founding members. 3 other of us on this call have been a part of the SWBL front office. Andy, at one point you were a part of the front office as well, before you kind of left it in 2014 and moved down to Columbia and everything. You were a very big cornerstone for our league in starting the franchise era. You helped usher in the franchise era with myself and Gus and Peter as the original, front office for the franchise era. So you helped us kind of mold this into what it is now. And yes, it's evolved from a 2-man to a 3-man to a franchise era and then to a 4-man franchise era. But we thank you for all you've done for the wiffle ball, and thank you for kind of putting us out there and helping us grow our wiffle ball community. So you're a big part of it. So we appreciate it.
Sure.
And now we're going to move to the future, boys and girls. It is enough talk of the past, but Andy's coming back. So why would we talk about the past? Let's talk about the future. He's wearing the Expos bucket hat. The Expos have a brand new player in Brett Spencer. I'm sorry, let's take that back. Not just a brand new player, a star. They're bringing a star on board, and that's what they've needed. They needed someone that can give them that bright spot, and they need someone that can be consistent for that Expo squad. And then we also have on the call the manager who put it all together. I mean, these 3 are the people you want to talk about. Kevin has been waiting for Brett to join and take that leap of faith. But Kevin, to be honest with you, the stars have aligned when it comes down to it. You not only have the backing of the front office and the backing of the league, or the backing of your players even too. Like Jimmy Nelson has grown and developed as a pitcher better than any other pitcher I've ever seen in this league. And it's so crazy that you have this roster that you keep continuing to build and get better. And I want to talk about that roster for just a second, Kevin, while Andy is frozen on our screen. But I want to talk to you for just a moment, Kevin, and we'll kind of move on to you. But it's the best Andy face possible.
I don't know.
He'll come back. He'll come back. So Kevin, we're going to move on to you because obviously this is the future of the franchise, and you've done a fantastic job, and you are the front runner for manager of the year. And I'm going to give that manager of the year kind of spiel at the end of all this segment, and kind of talk to you about what would it take to win that award for you, and what would it take for you guys to call this season a success. But before we get to that, your rotation consists of Jimmy Nelson and now Brett Spencer. And Jimmy, like I said, being a better pitcher every single year, and Brett being one of the most proven veteran pitchers with some of the nastiest stuff in our league as well. And my big question with that is, you have a 30-inning pitcher, you have a 20-inning pitcher, but will you pitch in 2020? Will we see the lefty changeup? Is it relief only? Will you get a start or 2 in? What's your process in thinking? Are you going to give everything to Jimmy and Brett? Are you going to see how things play out? What's your process when you're thinking about from a managerial side?
To start, I don't know what else to say. I'm just a great manager, so I should probably just be given that award anyway.
Yeah.
As far as me pitching, I don't really plan on it. I think we throw Brett and Jimmy in there and get us a bunch of wins to start. If I need to throw a couple innings just because they don't have enough left, I can do that. But I think we're relying on Jimmy and Brett to take most of the innings for us this year.
It'll be the first season in a very, very long time that you do not see any innings on the mound, Kevin. So I understand the sentiment as a manager. I understand that you want to do that, but it will still be a sad moment for Expos baseball and for the SWBL that you won't take the mound barefoot in 2020. But who knows? Maybe your team will be up by a lot or down by a lot, and your team will want you to get in there. So
he's getting in the game. He's getting in one of the games.
It's always good to have Kevin Wiethuchter on the mound, and always good to have those bare feet boiling hot on that dirt. So
that new turf out there doesn't help.
Oh, well, that's going away. That's going away. That was just for summer league to protect the dirt and we didn't want to make any big holes in the dirt. So yeah, that'll be back, or that'll be gone. Don't worry. So you'll be back to the soft dirt. And we welcome Andy back. Andy, welcome back. We were just talking to Kevin about his pitching roster or his pitching rotation for his team with Jimmy and Brett. And
Berg's definitely not pitching.
Smart decision.
Smart managerial decision indeed.
I've been gone for so long, but one of the things that surprised me, and you guys will confirm, but Jimmy's like one of the league's best pitchers now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely.
Does he throw the knuckleball? Is that his specialty?
It's exclusive.
That's all he throws.
Good in summer league.
Basically, he has a pitch he's working on.
He's got
It's
another
that
one.
nasty,
It's just
huh?
he was just in summer league. The knuckleball was just devastating.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm excited.
Scott Poley has been always known as the knuckleballer of our league. You know, he has a great knuckleball, but then Jimmy Nelson developed it to be even with Scott's a couple years ago. But every single year after that, it's just becoming worse and worse. And it is so devastating that there has been talks about having Jimmy come to nationals to try it out there. Like it is, because it could be something that I think he could really, if he adds as much speed as possible to it and he can locate, it's definitely devastating, like Brett said. So that's the rotation, Kevin. But let's go to the lineup now, Kevin. You got some great players this year, and this is by far your best roster you've ever had for the SW Expos. And the Expos team is getting a lot of attention when it comes to all these preseason rankings. And even though the power rankings that just came out in the last podcast maybe didn't reflect where you guys wanted to be, and we'll get to those in a second, you can still tell that this is a team that can definitely contend and be ready to contend for not only a playoff spot, but hopefully if they get on a run with the two pitchers they have, make it to a championship. But we know pitching is going to be great. The hitting side is going to be hit or miss. You could have a time when you could put John Light in for all 10 games, but he might go cold for 6. You might have Evan, who could be really hot for a couple games, then really cold and streaky for another one. Jimmy Nelson, as good as he is as a pitcher, he cannot match the same skill level on the other side of the ball. And your really only consistent hitter stat-wise and history-wise is Brett. And we know Brett will probably be in every lineup. But as the manager, what's your thought process? Is it going to be whoever does well? Are you going to pull in 5-man lineups, 6-man lineups, 4-man lineups, whoever's there just to see who hits? I know Matt Egerstrom won't be able to be there with us. Matt Germer, another player that's getting better and better each year. And even yourself, Kevin, you had the second most doubles in Summer League this past year, getting it to the outfield with launch angle. And you got your home run. We were so excited that you got your home run for the Bombay Bombers. First home run you've hit in a while. But, I mean, even your hitting is back. And I know you said you may not play yourself a lot this season. But and with the return of Andy Oldenburg, who is exclusively power, it's just an interesting dynamic with your team now. So what is going to be your thought process on your managerial decisions for the lineup?
I'm still pretty confident in Jim's hitting abilities. I know John can go up there. If he's not hitting home runs, he can slap the ball in the field and get on base. But I think looking at a potential lineup would probably maybe start with John Germer leading off with Brett or with Jimmy second, Brett third. And then probably starting with 5-man batting lineup in the first couple games, see how it goes.
Sure.
Throw me and Berg in there if we want to get some at-bats. But it'll just be kind of going based off of who's hot. If somebody says they're not feeling it, then I'm out.
And I also know that, a lot of teams that are maybe not consistent playoff teams, I'll just put it that way. And we can be honest and open about it here. Like the Expos haven't made the playoffs. We can talk about how you need to find the right people. And this weekend, this whole season in one weekend is all about finding who's hot. And you can ride the playoffs. So many Chris Metter championship teams are mediocre in the regular season, and then you ride the hot hand in playoffs and you get that going. And I think that's something with the Expos that could really be seen, is finding who's hot, finding who, and playing into the matchups. And getting that Manager of the Year award, Kevin, is going to take a lot of thought process, because there's going to be so many decisions you have to make, and will it be the right one for that specific game? And I know you have help. I know you have an experienced veteran in Brett now on your team that has seen these matchups and been in big game leverage situations and has won championships. You have John Light, who has that experience. And now you have Andy Oldenburg that's in your ear too. And even if Andy's not going to be playing in a specific game, it's always nice to have the wiffle mind that Andy brings to the table to help you out with that too, and know some of these players as he's kept track of them throughout the years. So you definitely have the best roster that you've had so far with the Expos, and America is excited to see what the SWBL Expos can bring to the table in 2020. Now, guys, I'm going to go to a little segment, and all of you guys are going to give me an answer in this next segment. So we're going to go around the horn here, and I'll say your name, and you'll give me what you think. But the SWBL front office went through and talked about each of the rankings for specific categories. So we got the front office picks. There's 5 voting members of the front office, and that's Brett Spencer, Spencer Bogad, Scott Pulley, Gus Skibbe, and who did I just say? And Peter Light, excuse me. Sorry, Peter. I couldn't remember at the time.
Yeah.
But so the 5 of them are the voting members of these different rankings. And it's good to have a mix from one for every team. And it's good to have a mix of older generation, younger generation players. And they came up with these different rankings for the Expos. So I'm going to go through each one from fielding all the way to pitching, hitting, and then the overall power rankings. And I want you guys to give me, should this be higher? Should it be lower, or is it just right? Okay, and you can give a little explanation if you want about each one, but that's how it's going to be. I'm going to start with the one that already got released the other day, and that was the fielding one. So in the fielding ranks, the SWBL Expos ended at 7th. What is your thoughts? Kevin, we'll start with you. Expos at number 7. What do you think? Too high, too low, or just right?
That's definitely too low. We have people that can catch the ball. That's all I need to do. We're not fielding now.
All right. Brett, what about you?
I think it's
Jimmy's going to strike everybody out anyway. So
okay,
that's what I was gonna say. But yeah, I mean, I think it's too low. It's dependent on fielding and who's out when. I had mentioned to the Expos that I'd be okay fielding a little bit.
This might be your biggest fielding year in a long time, Brett.
It's dependent on the manager. I'll do whatever the manager wants. But I'm open to fielding because I just haven't done it in a while since BK's been in left field for me and the Rockies. But I'm ready to go out there, and let's see how it goes. But I think it's too low so far.
Now, Andy, you won't see the field, but go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
One thing I wanted to say is Brett has been telling me, he's like, yeah, if you and Andy want to get in there and get some at bats, maybe like me and Jimmy will take a game off. I'm like, Brett, no, you're
Yeah.
You're playing every single game. Trying to win a championship here.
Yeah, come on.
So, Andy, you probably won't see the field, as you probably are well aware, for the SWBL Expos, but you've kept track of everybody and kind of seen, and like you said, it's a young man's game, and the Expos are one of the older teams in the league. And it's funny because I say that, but the team that's even lower than you guys, the Marlins, is the youngest team in the league, but they're also the rookies of the league. They've never played it before, so they just have to kind of get used to the slope and get used to that different mindset. Pitcher's hand. It's going to be a tough year for the Marlins to readjust for their first season, but you guys are the one right, or just as low as the rookie team. So Andy, is it too high, too low, or just right?
So 7th out of 8 teams,
7th out of 8 this year. Yep.
That I think that's probably going to be accurate. I think maybe if we're lucky, maybe we can, get in the 6th or 5th range, but you nailed it on the head just based on what I know of our roster. We're definitely some of the older guys on the league, and we obviously can't be as nimble as the younger cats. Sure. Maybe Brett can still, but I didn't know Brett was saying that apparently he hasn't been playing the field as much lately. So, I just think we could have some struggles there, but like Kevin also said, if our pitching between Jimmy and Brett can do what they can do, then fielding doesn't really matter. So,
Brett, were you going to say something?
Oh, I was going to ask, because we were talking about the Marlins and them being the youngest team and having probably a rough rookie year.
Sure.
What happens next year?
That's a great question, and we can tell everybody out there. The Marlins know that this is a 1-year only position for them.
Okay.
They are well aware that Eli Erickson is the captain this year. These guys are friends of Luke Bacula and Corey Poley. They're all good buddies, Parkway South guys as well, live in the area. And Eli is married to Annie Light, who is obviously the younger sister of Peter and Andrew and John. So a lot of connections to the SWBL. They've wanted to play for a long time. Luke Bacula has always expressed interest in jumping over from the A's to captain this team, these guys, and add Corey Poley into the mix, who's the cousin of Scott and Kevin. A lot of connections with this team. They know next year is going to be, they will not be back. They can come watch next year, obviously, and hang out and still be a part of the weekend. And then I am not going to reveal any secrets, but there may be something brewing in coming up for season 20. So, but next year they will not be in attendance. It will just be a 1 year only for them this year. So good question. Yes, indeed.
Hopefully they get a win, but not against the Expos.
All right. And guys, I'm going to move on to, well, they only play the Expos once, so it'll be a one game. That's all they get with you guys. So who's going to pitch, Jimmy or Brett? Who knows? All right. You'll have to find out coming up soon. Now, let's go on to pitching, because that's what the Expos claim to fame is going to be this year. And it just came out tonight, guys. It just came out today. And I'm just going to come right out and say it. For the first time ever, and possibly the largest jump from any team in the history of these rankings, the largest jump forward, the SWBL Expos have been ranked number 1 in the SWBL pitching rankings. And obviously, a lot of people probably knew this was coming. You only need 2 pitchers in this league. You need a 30-inning pitcher and you need a 20-inning pitcher. Or in your guys' case, it could be 25-25. But it is very interesting to know that these two would be aces on any team that they were on. And you don't even know who the ace is going to be for your team this year, whether it's Jimmy or Brett, Kevin. But do you think that this is just right? And I'm pretty sure every single one of you is going to say, yeah, number 1 is correct. So what I want you to do, Kevin, is say just right and talk about your team for a second and your pitchers if you want. But then also give us who's going to be your number 2. Who do you think should be number 2? As of now, the number 2 is the Brewers. That's what the front office decided. So you can let me know if you agree with the Brewers, with PG and Kyle and Peter giving some summer league innings as well and not doing too bad. So you can talk about their pitching, or should there be another team pitching as well? I'm going to go grab something real quick, Kevin, while you are talking about that. And then Brett will move on to you after that. All right?
But I just got to talk to them.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I can hear you still.
You can talk to us.
Tell us and the fans what you are going to do.
Well, I mean, pretty confident in our rotation. So, yeah, we should definitely be number 1. I have a lot of confidence in Brett and Jimmy. As far as however many innings they pitch in the season, it'll just come down to who's looking better and who's getting more people out. I'm trying to think of the other options in pitching rotations. I do like the Brewers because I think PG and Cornell have always been pretty strong, but
you got the Yankees with Scott and Jackson.
I don't think they're anything like what we have.
Yeah, no, and that's what the front office definitely showed, was that the tiers of having Brett and Jimmy are just a complete other tier than everybody else. And you got Scott and Jackson for the Yankees. You got for the Twins, you got Spencer Bogat and Will Rath. For the Braves, you got myself and my brother Gus. For the Marlins, we're not quite sure. We'll find out tomorrow on their Marlins podcast for their preview. And the Astros would normally have Olderman and Cam Smith, but now they have Cam Smith and Jeremy Worrell, who Jeremy showed that he is quite a good pitcher as well for during summer league. So
yeah, he
shut us down. So I'm batting against him.
Yeah, that's fine, because I'll sit against that. I'll sit against him because he shut us down.
Yeah, and Jeremy Worrell showed that he, in Olderman's absence, he will step up and be the number 2 for the Astros. So it's crazy because we don't know anything about the Marlins, but every single team could have 2 fantastic pitchers, and we have never had that in the history of our league. There's always been a team that just has 1. And the Rockies are seemingly, I will tell you, the Rockies got ranked 7th in pitching. the SWBL Rockies. Losing Brett really hurt them, obviously, and somebody else is going to have to step up. Even BK got some practice on the mound during Summer League. But you got to believe that Breida and Blake are still going to be a great 1-2 punch that no team is going to have you kind of an off day when it comes to the pitchers. So, yeah, Brett, we'll move on to you. I assume Expos is just right. You're going to say that, but who would be your number 2?
Yeah, Expos, just right. Agreed. One thing I will say is that we forget that Breida and Blake won a championship for the Rockies already. So, yeah. I mean, they can do it. So, I mean, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with it because it's been a few years.
Now, I will say the pitcher was Grant Boyd that year, though.
That's true. We haven't seen Grant Boyd in a while. And plus, he won't be there.
And he won't be here. So, yeah, that's the other thing, yeah.
That does – it throws a wrinkle in things. I mean, the guys you said, basically, I would go with the Brewers as number 2. Just, I think Jimmy and me can go back and forth as to – if you're going back and forth as to one of the most dominant pitchers in the past few years, you go back and forth to Jimmy basically in Summer League dominated, and last year I won the Cy Wiffle. So, it makes sense to put us up at the top. But the Brewers, I think PG has been working on his stuff.
Yeah. Because
he looked great in Summer League, and Kyle usually looks pretty good anyway. So I'm really good with those rankings. Yankees, et cetera, down the line, Braves even have you and Goose. So, I mean, there's a lot of good pitchers. I'm just not sure. You just don't know how the Marlins are going to be, but it makes sense that they were ranked last.
Yeah, and there's no hard feelings. And I will tell Eli that in our podcast tomorrow. I'll say, obviously, there's no hard feelings. Just nobody has any idea. And this is such a league that we've had people come from all over the country, and the best hitters and the best pitchers in the country come to this league and struggle massively. We've had one of the best hitters in the country, Jimmy Cole, and his first season with his team only hit 3 home runs. Consistently one of the best hitters in the history of this country in wiffle ball, and he only hit 3 home runs in our league. He will say it was because of a sports hernia, but let's be real.
It's a big adjustment period.
It is.
Like it's at least a year. You have to see the guy to pitch. You have to see the pitchers. You have to see everyone again and again. Yeah, and then the more you see them, the easier it gets. It's just,
and look what happened. Jimmy Cole, the very next season, wins a championship. So, it took him one more year, and he goes 3rd in MVP voting. So that first year, it's just the adjustment. He adjusts, and he does well. So it could be the same you could say the same for everybody. So, Andy, we'll go to you. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. You may change the answer. You may say it might be a little lower. I love that you had a different answer than Kevin and Brett before, or you could agree and realize that, yep, this is the number 1 pitching. But is it just right, or is it too high?
I'm going to say number 1 for the Expos is just right. Between
you're gonna you didn't say that.
I think Brett, what's your pitch? What do you call it?
The Top Gun.
Top Gun. That the Top Gun has brought nightmares to me for so many years. I remember actually the first year I played in my Rookie of the Year potential MVP season, I would hammer it because I was just basically sitting on it. And eventually he would hang it. But that's literally the only success I ever had it the rest of the time I played wiffle ball. It's just the most dirtiest, unhittable pitch that I remember of all the years that I played with the SWBL. That pitch was just make me urinate my pants. And then so you're going to have Brett there. And then from everything I've been hearing about Jimmy and his growth, that's just a hell of a 1-2 that you – will be rolling out. And then as far as number 2 ranking, I'm going to go with, and I actually just had to cheat a little bit and go onto the website to get a refresher of who's on which teams again. I'm going to go with the Yankees for number 2. I just always remember Jackson and Poli, especially Jackson being really solid.
Sure.
And I'll go with the sleeper team pitching. I'll say the Braves with Sam and Gus. I didn't even know you guys were on the same team. And a new team name that I was not even aware of. You guys have just always, you and Gus have just always been just rock steady, solid. And I think what makes you two dangerous is any given game, you guys are capable of throwing a gem. So that's going to be really scary. for anybody who faces you. And I think if you guys are both on, then that could be, you guys could easily skyrocket up the rankings.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back to the Expos and what you said, Andy, and you talked about Brett's Top Gun pitch, and that has consistently been the pitch that people have talked about for years.
Yep.
But it's funny because nowadays there's so many less people that talk about the Top Gun and talk about Jimmy's knuckleball. Like
Wow.
It takes over conversation, and that's how good the knuckleball is. It's taking over the conversation when it comes to what pitch is best in this league. So, and then they're both on the same team. It's dangerous for sure. So it's going to be interesting to see how Kevin matches up the teams and who pitches when. And I know he'll probably defer a lot to everybody else and Brett and Jimmy and how they're feeling or what's going on and what's situational. But it's going to be interesting to see who gets what games for sure.
I think a lot of it's going to depend on matchups. Like, I'll want to pitch against, of course, we'd probably pitch me against the Rockies one of the games, big time matchups. And then, I think everyone should be ready to pitch every game. Like if I do bad after 2 innings, Jimmy comes in and finishes it off and vice versa. So, I think starting is going to be back and forth, and then the other person just gets ready to come in case it goes bad.
And I feel like with Summer League too, they face more players in the league now, and they know who they pitch better against. So, I'll kind of defer to Brett and Jimmy on who they think, will do better against said team that we're playing.
And I will say, not many pitchers pitched under, the new ERA to definitely shoot for is a 10 ERA or under. You really want to be below 10. And even being below 10 is a tough thing to do. There are a lot of veterans in this league who are over 10. And I'll give you another clue. Brett pitched over a 10 ERA in Summer League. And there were only 4 other pitchers that were lower than him in ERA. And obviously Jimmy was one of them. And Jimmy wasn't even number 1. So it just shows you that, Summer League was a really good chance for people to really see what they can do with the ball on the mound and get some extra practice that many people are not used to. Let's move on to hitting, guys. And the hitting side of things, you're not going to be happy when I tell you this because these don't come out till tomorrow. So only the 3 of you are going to know this by the time the podcast is released tomorrow or today when people are watching this. But I will already have tweeted the hitting rankings. So by the time people know this, it'll already be common knowledge for everybody. So this will be new to you guys right now, but we're going to go through the hitting rankings for you. And you guys actually ended the hitting rankings in 7th out of 8. So you go 7-1-7 when it comes to the 3 rankings so far. And it ranked 7th, and it was a very close race between you guys and the Astros when it came down to hitting. Astros just signed another really good hitter from Summer League. His name's Cole Layton. And some of their hitters are getting a little bit better. Cam Smith was in the running for MVP as a hitter as well. But it's going to be a tight race for hitting between those 2 teams. And you'll see that in the rankings tomorrow. But obviously, Kevin, you look at last year, and I'm looking at it now, and out of all the teams, you were second to last in runs scored. The Expos MO is, got to hit to get the runs in the game. Your pitching will do really well this year. But if you don't hit more than they give up, then you're not going to win. So, Kevin, this ranking, is it just right for the history of the Expos, knowing that you guys were 8th out of 9 last year in run score department, or do you think that this year's different and it's going to be higher?
I think this year will definitely be different. I think it's a little low. We don't know how it's going to go, but we have Brett's bat now. We have other batters that have improved, and we know they can hit home runs. And I think a big thing with it will be our pitching, keeping, the opposing team's runs down. And maybe we only need to score 5 runs a game to win 5-0.
Good point.
Brett, what about you? Just right, or it should be higher?
It's tough. It depends. A lot of it depends on how many we bat. Depends on if we bat 4 during games or if we bat 5 versus batting 4 and having people sub in later. It depends on, I think the Brewers are better. I think the Braves are better. I think I would say we're pretty much around what's to be expected in my eyes. I think we could do better. I think based on Summer League, if I'm remembering correctly, BK and Breida both of them had little rough summer leagues. And then they also have a rookie in Michael Patterson who, like we said, is going to take adjusting. So they basically have one bat. I mean, I think by the end of the year, with myself and Jimmy getting a decent amount of bats, and then kind of Germer, John, Kev, Evan, and Berg all, plugging up the back end and just continuing to hit bombs like they do. I think we can surprise some people and climb up to 5th or so.
Okay.
I mean, I do like Cam Smith and Cole Layton. I think they're both very good, but I think, Ben Ware, and then, there's who else? Jeremy Worrell. Keaton Adams actually had a pretty decent summer league. So, they have decent hitting. They could go either way too. So.
Yeah. And these, obviously, guys, these rankings are pretty much like what the front office views as the floor. You know what I mean? These aren't ceilings by any means. Like people could climb these rankings huge, but this is kind of like the floor for at least the bottom tier from all the categories. Like this is the floor of everything. But Andy, let's go to you now. I know you've been out of the game a little bit, but like you said, you keep track. But with your roster that you see on your team and what you know about your guys on the Expos or what you know about the other teams too, do you think this is just right, or you guys think it should be higher?
I think we should be higher. I think Brett nailed it on the head. He literally stole many things that I was going to say. I think, and piggybacking off what Kevin said, pitching is going to be the Expos' strength. So we could easily, I think, get away with averaging, 5-6 runs a game. And when you take that into effect, I think the Expos are going to probably live or die at the plate by the home run ball. So I think probably, goes to our team's strength just based on what I know of the players on the roster. And I, like Brett said, I think whether it's myself or I remember hearing a lot of stories about John Light just went off one summer, and, he's a capable bat, and say if I get hot, for a game or two, and provide some pop, that's all it's going to take from the bottom spots of the roster and the lineup. And I truly think with the pitching staff we have, we'll get away with just hitting a fair share of home runs and score a decent amount of runs, and then rely on that pitching. And I think we'll be okay.
I think your average is good. Getting those 5 or 6 runs is important. The average last year obviously was like if you round to the nearest whole number, it's 4 runs a game is what the Expos are doing. And so I think they will need more. But a few stats I'll throw out from last year. When you look at runs allowed, so this is with Jimmy being the ace for the Expos last year. The Expos gave up the second most runs out of any team last year in 2019. Brett and the Rockies gave up the least amount of runs. And when Brett moves to the Expos, you got to believe that's definitely going to bring that number down. The Rockies also were the 4th best run scoring team, with Brett batting in the 2-hole, which is a really important spot in the lineup for any team. And they had 85 runs scored to get 4th in the run score department. And the Expos were second to last, as we said, with 43 runs scored, which averages 4.3 a game. But with the Rockies doing 8.5, you got to believe some of that's going to come over from Brett. If you split the runs up, maybe that's that 2 or that 1.7 you need to get to that 6 runs, Andy, like you said. And that could be the key to success for sure. And obviously, anybody can tell you common sense will say you got to score more than the other guy to win the game. So hopefully the Expos can get to that right now. So Guys, I'm going to go on to the power rankings, and you guys know it came out the other day, and the Expos for the front office preseason power rankings ended in 6th, just missing being the team that just misses playoffs really fast. You're not going to give me higher or lower. You're just going to give me maybe no explanation. Where will the Expos finish in 2020? So where will they finish? This is postseason. Season is over. Where will they finish? First, I just want to get a one-word answer, and then I'm ask a follow-up after that. So, Kevin, we'll start with you. Where are the Expos going to finish in 2020?
First.
Brett? First. Andy?
How many teams make the playoffs?
5 teams make the playoffs, and you just need to get hot.
Berg first.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go not just one word here. I think we're gonna be the 5th team in. So we'll get the last playoff spot, but after that, I'm more hopeful.
Very good. So after that, you're gonna ride Brett and Jimmy to the finals, is what you're saying.
Damn right.
All right. So just got to get it, and then you got to get hot. That's all you got to do.
That's right.
Kevin, I'm going to kind of end this whole thing with the Expos with you, and I'm going to talk to you as the manager. But, you guys have gone 4-6 before. That was the epitome of the Expos. The height of your success was at 4-6 as a franchise. And that was an incredible run. You were 1 game away from making the playoffs before, and that's all without Brett. So if your team goes 5-5, if your team goes 5-5, seemingly adding Brett is a good thing. If you go less than 5-5, then it's back to square one, trying to figure out what's going to happen. But if you go 5-5 or any better than that, I guess, but let's just do the baseline of 5-5. Is that a win for you guys as a franchise? Going 5-5, and let's say not making the playoffs, but going 5-5.
One question I have real quick. Did you realign the divisions?
So the divisions on the website, I can recap the divisions for you. The divisions on the website are correct, and that is you guys are in the Ketting Eye Center division, and that is with the Rockies, the Braves, you guys, and the Astros. And then, so that's your division.
Okay. I honestly hadn't looked at that before, but the last podcast I knew we were with the Brewers and I believe the Yankees.
No, you guys were always in the Ketting Eye Center. The Astros were the ones that switched because the new team went down to the 8th spot, and the Astros took over the 7th. So.
No, but like before this all got postponed, we were supposed to be at the Yankees.
Oh, in the triple. Yes,
correct?
yes, you are right. When we had 3 divisions, you guys were with Yankees and Brewers, and that was going to be very tough.
Yeah, so that was my biggest concern going into it. If that was still our division, which I believe would have been the toughest division in the league, 5-5 in that division would seem pretty average, but I mean, I have confidence in our pitching, and I think, we're going to be better than 500 this year.
Okay. So, Brett, what does it take for the SWBL Expos to call this season a win? Like, what's the expectation? You're new to this culture. You're new to Expos baseball. You've seen them play before, obviously, against them. You know them. They're your friends, past roommates. But what do the Expos need to do to call this season a success?
I mean, it's been since I joined the team, it's been championship from day one. I mean, I don't care what our regular season is. I care if we make the playoffs, and then from there, it does not matter. I mean, you have one pitcher in the playoffs, you can do everything, and we have 2. So if someone stumbles, the other one comes in is. I mean, it's a huge advantage in the playoffs. It just is. So the regular season, it doesn't matter to me. If we make the playoffs and go deep into the playoffs, that's a win for me.
Okay. And Andy, I'll end with you for this SW Expos podcast. What are your expectations for yourself heading into this season where you haven't played in many seasons?
Expectations for myself. I obviously know, and talking to Brett and Kevin, that my playing time and at bats is probably gonna be pretty limited. I think the only way that changes is if I go out there and just light the world on fire, which personally, I don't expect that to happen right now.
You're so confident, man. You're so confident.
I honestly don't really play anymore, and it's sad, but that's the truth. But with my baseball background and stuff, I'm confident it will come back. It's just a matter of how quickly it will come back. But just personally, like I said, I just hope to take advantage of the bats I do get, and hopefully I can get hot and contribute as much as I can at the plate. For the team wise, I know the hopes and expectations are really high, and I know there's a lot of excitement between within the team, and then it sounds like around the league. There's a lot of hope and potential that people see in the Expos. So I'm just happy to be a part of it. And as you guys know, I'm just most pumped just to be back. It's been so long, and just to be back at Sam's parents' house and just to be around the guys. And I haven't seen so many of those guys in 4, 5, 6 years. And that's going to be really cool just to be part of it all back again, and look forward to calling some games with Brett. That's just going to be a real treat. I know we'll be quite boozed up and having some fun with that. So just the whole weekend's going to be a blast. I'm really excited. And hopefully we can like Brett said, make a deep run and surprise some people.
Well, Andy, I know that everybody's glad you're back, and I know it worked out this year because of COVID-19. It worked out in your favor because athletics program at Mizzou is, not really running to full capacity, and so it works out that you can make it back. And it's been a long time since then, and it's going to be a different weekend. I won't lie to you guys; it'll be very different than what we're used to when it comes down to it. But the most important thing about this season is the players are playing just to play. And it's going to be kind of cool to go back to our roots and not play with the frills. Don't play with all the extra stuff. It's just going to be, all of us guys coming together and playing. So we have our league-wide all-league meeting. It's going to take place instead of our captain's meeting. Everyone is invited out there for all of the teams. Every player is invited to join us on Sunday evening at 7:30 Central Time. It'll be on Zoom. I will send it out to every captain. The captains will send it out to their players. I'll put it on our group me messaging, and anybody else that needs it, you can just text me and I'll send you the link. But any players that want to join us, we want to give this information firsthand. We don't want it to disseminate down from other people. We want you to hear it from us firsthand. So please join us on Sunday. Tomorrow we have the Marlins podcast coming out to preview the new SW Marlins franchise with Captain Eli Erickson. And alongside me will be Peter Light and Luke Baculo, who'll be joining for that podcast as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the SWBL Expos podcast preview of season 18. I will let them all have one last word in just a moment. Don't worry. But I will say to all of you guys out there, the Expos culture has definitely changed and is an exciting, fresh, new perspective on a franchise that has taken some strides forward and then taken strides backwards, but then coming down and having this mentality is quite exciting for the league and quite exciting for Shantytown to get a brand new boost. So let's go around the horn, say last things, guys. Any last things you want to say? Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to know if we can get an over-under set on how many shotguns it takes for Andy to puke.
Like 2.
Okay, Brett sets it at 2. Andy, what is your over-under?
Oh man, just one day?
Oh, one day. I was thinking
Are we doing fantasy this year? Can this be put on the?
I like this as a prop bet for sure because Brett is that's going to be one of Brett's goals of the weekend is get me to puke at the field, which
it's never a goal. It's never a goal. It just always happens.
Andy, this is like the Expos MO. They always do shotguns before their games.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I'm in real trouble.
We have 5. I think we have 5 games that first day.
Wow. On Friday?
Saturday.
Okay. Well, I was going to give some insider trading for the prop bet makers. Saturday's the day, I'm going to be there all day and night. I'm not going to leave. So that's.
Well, unfortunately, you have to.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yes.
I'll be
when you can be there, you'll be there. Yes, I got it.
I'll be hanging out with Brett like his little brother and just following him around all day.
We are calling a game.
Oh, okay.
At least one.
All right. So yeah, it's Saturday. I'm probably gonna have to make a visit into the woods and take care of business. So it'll happen. Over under for shotguns. I'll go 3.
All right, so over it is. All right, Brett. Anything else to say before we head out?
No. I'm looking forward to the weekend. Let's get it going.
And Andy, what are you most excited for? What are you feeling coming into the season? Well, it's one last thing you want to tell America, who's so excited for your return.
Oh man, I kind of just said it in the last time I rambled on. Just to be back and see so many people that I haven't seen in so freaking long, and yeah, it's a lot of memories are gonna come back, and I'm sure whether it's me being an idiot or at the plate or making a fool out of myself trying to have beer for beer with Brett. And Kevin, Kevin can outdrink me too. So just to be back, I'm really looking forward to it. And there's been a couple years in the past where I thought, I was ready to come back and I was all set and it just didn't work out. And then hell, this year, I was ready to play Memorial Day weekend, got called off. I was ready to play 4th of July weekend, got called off. I'm like, and I told Sam, like, well, shit, now I can't play now because if Mizzou was, if Mizzou was, planning on going this weekend, we would have started play, and I wouldn't have been able to come. So, selfishly, I was kind of excited the Mizzou season got pushed back again. So I'm like, all right, I can still do wiffle ball. So, yeah, I'm pretty pumped.
Well, for Kevin Wiethuchter, Brett Spencer, and the return of Andy Oldenburg, I am Sam Skibbe, and we are so excited that when everybody will be watching this, we will be 1 week away from SWBL Season 18. So thank you, everybody, for listening. It was a little bit longer of a podcast, but we hope you enjoyed it. We had to reminisce, and it's always a fun time to have someone come back to the SWBL after so much time in between. And Andy, you may be the front runner for comeback player of the year if you can prove your worth for the Expos. So it's going to be a nice comeback for everybody for sure. So put yourself out there, have confidence in yourself. It'll come back to you, I'm pretty sure. You got that home run pop. It's just a matter of finding it somewhere in there deep.
Yep.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. And we look forward to the Expos baseball in 2020. See you in a week.
Bye-bye.